It's time for Let's Get Real with your host from Bob Richards and Associates, Bob Richards.
Well, hello, Mr. Bob Richards.
Hello, Michael.
From Bob Richards and Associates.
Yes, that would be me.
Wow, I'm excited. And would I be considered an associate, so to speak?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Remember the team.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, this is why you get those $5 benefits every week.
I can get those cheeseburgers now.
Exactly right.
Nothing better.
Nothing better.
Hey, we've got a great show today.
I think we do.
You know, this one's called Get a Clue, and I'm glad it's called Get a Clue because I need to get a clue on what this clue thing is. So if you can enlighten us all on what the heck is this clue report thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick kind of clue. I grew up playing that game. I still think people play it quite a bit. It's kind of a fun game. This clue report's a little bit different, Michael. And again, we get real in things in our conversations. The clue report stands for, I'm going to read this correctly here so I don't mess up. It is called a Comprehensive Loss Underwriting Exchange. So that's your acronym of clue. What this is, Michael, is that this is a particular document that the buyers of a home and the sellers of a home can look at to verify. It's almost like, if you will, a Kelley Blue Book or a Carfax. Maybe even a Carfax would be better for a house and what it relates to with regards to problems, issues, insurance claims, things that have gone wrong with the home. Even if there's been settling in the home or if there's been something major disaster, then that clue report is what is the report is received by the homeowner, and the disclosure between the insurance and the property owner is given.
Oh, so wait, don't tell me.
Okay.
Comprehensive Loss Underwriting
Exchange.
You know,
Yes.
I was so far off. I'm thinking Californians lost in Utah eternally. I like yours better.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm liking yours better.
I'm glad you at least cleared it up for me,
Yes.
so I know what's going on.
Absolutely. You're the host. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're the.
I'm the host.
I don't,
You're the
but I don't
moderator.
have a clue. But now I have a clue about the clue. So that's cool. So you're right. It is kind of like a Carfax report, but for houses.
It is. It is. And I think it's a great tool. But so many people are not aware of this, Michael, until their insurance agent calls them up and said, hey, did you know that this house had a major basement flood back in 4 or 5 years ago? Or were you aware there was a suicide in the home? Those kind of things that may or may not show up on the insurance report, like the suicide part.
Yeah.
But definitely if there's been a flood or a disaster or some sort of an issue that has caused an insurance claim to take place.
So who orders the clue report? Is it automatic? Does the lender order it? The insurance person? Do you? And is it mandatory?
Yeah, really good question. Mandatory, no. Ordered by everybody else, Michael, except, not everybody, just you as the homeowner. So I can't, as a realtor, make that request. I can't have a buyer's agent make that request. It actually has to come from the homeowner. So as part of an offer, if Sean here was our buyer, you were the seller of the house, I was the realtor involved, in one of the disclosure sections, I would want copy of a clue report. And that would be given by you to me to Sean as the buyer. And then that way we would review during our due diligence process whether or not that was going to be an impact to our purchase, or if it's going to be just fine. Is it a fender bender, or would he lose the whole back end of a car, but as it relates to a house?
So is it like a little checkbox on the offer that I, as a home buyer, would submit?
It is.
Bob, I want you to get me this thing.
Yeah, there's about 8 things, and then there's a number 9 that is blank that you can fill in some of the other details that you would want to have from the home seller.
And is there a fee for that?
Typically not.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty slick. And if they do charge, it's very minimal, $20-25 at the most. But oftentimes, just like as getting a credit report per year that's free, you can do the same thing with a clue report as well.
Why would anyone not want to order a clue report?
I think they just simply don't have a clue. They're not Yeah, I mean, let's get real again. You don't know what you don't know. And so you're hiring a realtor to provide you those benefits, that knowledge, that education, that did you know, so that after the sale, it doesn't come back to haunt them as to, oh, why didn't anybody tell me? And the realtor is the one that's on the hook for that. It's not necessarily the buyer, because the buyer, again, is contracting with that expert, that licensee, to guide them through the entire process rather than sign here, press hard, and, oh, by the way, here's the kitchen.
So let's say I'm the buyer. And I go, Bob, I like this house. I'm going to buy it. You go, great, Michael. Let's go through all of this delightful paperwork. Over here on page 8,327, there's a little checkbox. And I go, what is this? I go, what is this clue report? Or would you suggest, right here, there's this thing about a clue report. Here's what it is. Here's what it does. There's some benefits to you. Would you make a recommendation that they order it? Or is it just, are you allowed to do that? Or
yeah, I am allowed to make that opportunity to make that request. Some people say, oh, but it's a brand new home. Okay, but do brand new homes have a problem? Yeah, they do. There could be instances like with our weather right now this weekend, a lot of rain. And if that rain is not sent elsewhere except for into the roof because the roof tiles weren't placed properly, then that's going to create a probably could be a major issue with water damage and drywall and that kind of a thing. Or if there's enough rain that goes into a basement, floods the basement, that still can happen on our new home. And so it doesn't matter the age, the Carfax, if you will, this clue report would be super important to get on really any deal.
So that answer prompts me to ask another question. Okay. So how is this clue report different from a home inspection report?
Really good question. Probably the best question of all the time we're going to spend together.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I'll be here all week.
You sure will. Try the veal. So difference between the two, Michael, is present day or past days. So the clue report would be something that would have been in the past, something that was done of a previous incident or a previous accident or disaster. The home inspection is today and moving forward. So that way the inspector's saying, here's what I'm finding today, and he may find some things related to, say, there's water lines in the basement area there. They're like, oh, okay, that could be signs of, or dirt or sand, could be signs of there being previous damage. And so he'll note that in the inspection report, but the real details as to how, when, what time, how long, what did it take, and how much it took to fix that would be in the clue report.
Okay. So I'm going to restate this for my simple mind, because there may be somebody else out there who has the same problem I do. Okay. So we're going to go back to the brand new house. And people say, oh, why do I need one of these things? Yeah. It's a brand new house. So it's a brand new house. I'm going to ask for a clue report, which is different than a home inspection report. Mm-hmm. It's a brand new house because maybe there's something in the home facts or Carfax, so to speak. Maybe the house was built on a dinosaur burial ground, because we have a lot of these dinosaur things out here in Utah.
Truth.
Maybe it's built on type of a dinosaur thing, an excavation part. And that would show up in the clue report, which I would want to know, because in 6 months, I don't want someone from the Department of Archaeology coming and dozing my house to get to the dinosaur bones that are under that. If it wasn't for the clue report, I wouldn't know. That's not the home inspector's job.
Right.
He's only there to make sure that the current home as it is standing now is intact and the water doesn't have any leaks and everything's standing. Does that kind of sum it up a bit?
Yeah, it really is. And people wouldn't believe this, that they do get their houses torn down. This has happened a couple of times in my career, mostly along the Riverside Drive area there, just above the Dinosaur Tracks shopping center. And this is where, they actually could trace where some of the fossil was going underneath a person's home. Another one that was up against the wall, a back wall that they found and excavated, and that had to be torn down along with the house, because if the house saw more fossils, then they were just playing precautionary. So let's take your home down. Well, we want to be precautious.
Why not?
Yeah,
You know?
but it's true. Yeah, that's a very, very serious thing that does happen, and it makes you feel homeless because you are.
Because you are. Yeah, you're there with the rest of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have another question.
Sure.
I have a clue report.
Yeah.
I got this new house, and in the clue report, it mentions the dinosaur thing. Let's say that's in there.
Okay.
So am I going to be able to get the house insured, or maybe something happened afterwards and the insurance person didn't see it, and they go, well, we're here to tear down your home because there's some lovely dinosaur tracks over here. And you go, well, I don't think you can do that. And they go, well, yes, we can, because it's right here. So will my insurance company cover that? Is there anything in there that will cover something like that?
Another great question number 2. Ding, ding, Michael Mollenauer. Thank you for that. Yeah, he is. Still here this weekend, or all week.
All week.
Let me think how to best phrase this, Michael. Yes, that's the answer.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, the answer is that they can take it down, and there are certain situations. Sorry about that, folks. That is such that you can't get it insured. Oh, now, this doesn't happen to be necessarily your dinosaur question or related to, but just a flood, or if there is let's say a foundational problem that we see a lot of them on the west side of town, and even in Denver, Colorado, it's called blue clay. Tons of it in Denver area. Well, and not tons, but we have a large area that is with blue clay. So you could come home after a period of time, to a cracked foundation, cracked driveway, walkway, block wall fence, because the water has seeped into and found blue clay and caused it to grow and expand. Well, that gets noted to an insurance agency that says, oh, by the way, this house is cracked. That insurance agency may, we ain't touching that. And then the buyer has to now find a sub-insurance company that is going to pay a lot of money for in order to be insured on that particular property.
Wow.
It's bad news.
That is bad news. All right, so I have another scenario.
Sure.
So let's say that I am now the home seller.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived in this home for 10 years, and Sean wants to buy my house.
I want to buy your house.
See,
Sean, I've heard about that. Wow.
He'll be here all week too. So Sean wants to buy my house. And I go, Sean, I'm so excited about that. You know, the other day when we were talking with Bob, he was talking about clue reports. And so Sean goes, you know, I think I'm going to order a clue report. I go, Sean, I think that's great, because Bob suggested that. So Sean orders the clue report.
Which he can't.
He can't?
Not as a buyer, just the seller.
Only the seller?
Yes.
All right, so I'm glad that I stumbled down this road. Okay, so he can't. So I was thinking, if I own the house...
I need you to get me a clue report.
So let's say I order the clue report, and I discover, oh my gosh, it's in a flood zone with dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
Now, I'm guessing I now am obligated to share that with Sean, who's probably not going to want to buy my house, because now the people from the UT archaeology department are going to come and bulldoze my house and dig dinosaurs. So I lose everything, because my insurance company is not going to cover the dinosaurs under the house from the clue report that I ordered and just screwed myself out of $857,000.
Yeah. Plus the water in the floodplain, giving those dinosaurs the water to be able to, stay alive.
Oh my gosh.
Michael, it really is true that there are things that, like a floodplain issue, or certainly a flood issue. You look back a number of years ago when the Santa Clara River just went bonkers big, and Virgin River, and there were properties that fell into the water. And unfortunately that took place, but it was a matter of nature and a matter of act of God. Well, insurance companies don't care about acts of God. They are encouraged. They're in the business to make money, and to pay premiums when they need to, but also to collect a lot of premiums, and which they need to use to pay out other premiums, or I should say claims, shouldn't I? And not premiums. So they're collecting premiums, paying on claims. We're finding today, all three of us in the studio, where our insurance is increasing substantially because of fires in California, issues in Florida, North Carolina, other disaster areas that these insurance companies are either trying to pay them or they plumb can't and go out of business. There's some big player insurance companies here in the country that are just hanging on by a thread, literally, that could really close their doors anytime because of the amount of claims that have been filed, and they just don't have the money to pay it.
So is the Clue report, is that nationwide or only here in Utah?
Another good question. Nationwide.
Okay.
And so available anywhere. Now, if I was to buy a car from England, because I'm a car collector.
I do know that.
If I was to buy a car from England and have it shipped over here, would I be able to get a Clue report from the seller of the car in England? Answer is no. This is a United States-based report, and not something that would be accompanied worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have really opened my eyes today. Give me a lot of clues today, Mr. Bob.
Good.
So is there anyone else that gets involved in these Clue report things other than the seller and you and not Sean because...
Right. He can't.
Don't tell him.
Obviously, the insurance agent and the insurance company, they're made aware of it. The title company is not. But for us as parties to the transaction, it's disclose. So yeah, if you are aware of that information and do not pass that along and it's later found that you had access to or a printed copy of or could get one, then that could put some liability upon you as a seller.
Okay.
So that's why I say just make sure that you disclose everything on anything, folks, to if you need to expand your comments to rather than just a yes and no, you need to maybe explain as to why the yes. Make sure you do that.
So as a potential buyer, I cannot order a Clue report on your home. Because
Correct.
Buyers can't do that.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I could see some different problems. If a buyer could do that unbeknownst to the seller, I wouldn't even say anything because, there's all kinds of stuff that could happen. Hey, you should do this for me. Otherwise, I'm going to file this Clue report and the archaeology department's going to come tear down your house.
Yeah.
But if you give me $500,000, I won't let anybody else know.
Right.
Wow.
Just our secret.
It's just our secret.
Yeah.
Nobody else will know. Okay.
Yeah, it is true. Or the Clue report gets doctored by the buyer and make it look fancy schmancy, and then are adding some things to say, oh, hey, I want to buy your home now for $400,000 rather than $800,000. And here's why. Here's this Clue report. And the sellers are like, oh, wow, this is bad. Okay, I'll come down on price. It has to be done by the homeowner.
So it's a Breaking Bad scenario.
It is
Isn't
a
that
Breaking
right,
Bad
Sean?
scenario.
It's a Breaking Bad scenario. Well, Mr. Bob, I understand that you have a lovely home you'd like to show us today.
If I could share this particular home today, folks, this is a home that has been under contract, and just the week before closing, the buyer had a family situation that did not allow them to close on this purchase. This is in a subdivision called Lakota Ridge. Lakota Ridge is just off of Snow Canyon Parkway, along about the area where, if you're familiar with the west side there, on your way out to Tuacahn, there's a Maverick station, a Digby's grocery store. It would be on the east side of that street, about 1920 north, roughly 2000 north. It is unit number 23. We've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just over 2,000 square foot. Super, super clean, well taken care of and well maintained. The owners of it have been using it as a second home. So they have come down every so often, but their bodies, unfortunately, are saying, you know what, we just can't travel that much, and so we need to sell. Large, big kitchen area, kitchen bar, granite countertops, and this also opens into the dining room and the family room. So we call that a great room floor plan. Obviously, 3 bedrooms and 2 baths on the other side of the wing of the house. Super nicely upgraded, lots of tile in the traffic areas, kitchen, dining, bathrooms, etc. And just, again, well maintained. The yard's maintained for you front, side, and back. This has a nice view out the back over the outside the covered patio, and just really sharp. This is priced at $575 right now. Oh. It is below appraisal, and so sellers say, you know what, let's get this thing moved. And unfortunately, we had a raw deal there at the end of this last deal, so we're getting our traction renewed. So we'd love to get an opportunity to show this to people and get it sold.
It's a beautiful home. Does the seller have a clue report?
Ding, ding. Yes, they do. Winner, Michael Melanauer. He gets the hat trick here. So, yes, they do have. And again, my recommendation on all my listings when I talk to sellers, let's get that report. Let's find out what we're dealing with. And even if it was before the sellers bought the home as a buyer, they may not have been given a clue by their agent to get a clue report.
All right. So I'm glad to hear that there's no dinosaur fossils under the home.
That's right.
We're in the clear.
Exactly.
What's the price on that home again?
$575.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bob, we've had a delightful chat today.
Likewise.
Why don't you tell us how we can get a hold of you by phone or your website?
Thanks, Michael.
Buy that house.
Yeah, so I'm at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, downtown St. George. We're just in Ancestor Square, right by Pizza Factory. Best way to reach me is by phone, either by call or text, and that number is 435-703-8824. If you want to spell things out, that's 435-703-UTAH. My website is buyutah.com. That's BUYUTAH.com. And email address is bob@buyutah.com. Those are about the 3 easiest ways to reach me. If you can't find me, call my wife. She knows where I am. Usually.
Yeah, I understand how that works. Also, we want to encourage everyone who's watching today to be sure and subscribe and share your Let's Get Real podcast. And it's also available on Spotify and all the other major podcast channels. You can listen to it while you're driving around town or heading down to California looking Utah, whatever that thing was.
Whatever that was, yeah.
Hey, Bob, thanks a lot. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks, Michael.
Take care.
This has been Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards & Associates. For more information, buyutah.com. We invite you to return again for another edition of Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards & Associates.